Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Context of the verse. This verse is part of a letter from the prophet Jeremiah to the Israelites in exile in Babylon, assuring them of God's promises despite their current hardships. Divine assurance. It emphasizes that God is aware of the future and has a plan for each individual. Plan for welfare. The term welfare here refers to peace, prosperity, and well-being, indicating that God's intentions are for our benefit, not for evil. This highlights that God's plans are not meant to harm us, but to guide us towards good outcomes. Hope for the future. The verse promises a hopeful future, suggesting that despite present difficulties, better days are ahead. God's sovereignty. It underscores the belief in God's sovereign control over life events and personal destinies. Encouragement during trials. This verse provides comfort to those going through challenging times, reminding them of a greater purpose. Personal application. It can be interpreted as a personal reassurance that God has a unique plan for each individual's life. Faith in God's plan. It encourages faith in the belief that there is a divine plan, even when it's not immediately clear. Future orientation. The verse shifts focus from present struggles to future promises, fostering a forward-looking perspective. Hope as a motivator. The promise of a hopeful future can be a powerful motivator to persevere through difficulties. Community aspect. Originally meant for a community in exile, it also speaks to the collective hope and future of groups, not just individuals. Role of trust. It encourages trust in God's plan, emphasizing that trust is central to experiencing the promise of hope. Growth and learning. The verse suggests that experiences, including hardships, are part of the journey towards fulfilling God's plan. Divine timing. The idea that God has a plan implies that everything happens in its own time, according to divine wisdom. Encouragement for prayer. This verse can inspire people to seek God's guidance through prayer, knowing that He has a plan. Covenant relationship. It reflects the covenant relationship between God and His people, where promises are made and fulfilled. Impact on mental health. Understanding this promise can positively impact mental health by reducing anxiety about the future. Historical fulfillment. Historically, the verse was fulfilled when the Israelites eventually returned to their homeland, highlighting its long-term reliability. Reassurance of God's goodness. It reaffirms that God's nature is inherently good, and that His plans reflect this goodness. Hope in adversity. The verse is a reminder that hope is available even in the midst of adversity and uncertainty. Faith and action. Believing in this promise can encourage individuals to take positive actions aligned with their faith. Not a promise of immediate relief. It doesn't guarantee instant solutions to problems, but assures a future filled with hope, transformation, and restoration. The promise includes the potential for personal transformation and restoration through God's plan. Biblical consistency. This verse aligns with other biblical assurances of God's good intentions for His people. Foundation for resilience. It can serve as a foundation for building resilience, knowing that there is a purposeful plan behind life's events. Encourages perseverance. By focusing on the hopeful future, believers are encouraged to persevere through present trials, part of a larger narrative. This verse is part of the larger narrative of God's interaction with His people, showcasing His overarching plan. Calls for hopeful living. It inspires living with hope and optimism, regardless of current circumstances. Invitation to trust. Ultimately, Jeremiah 29:11 invites individuals to trust in the divine plan and embrace the future with hope.